Heyo, Ian here from Sleep Deprivation, back with my first video in a long time, if you don't count the update video that I did a week ago, which I don't because, well, actually I do kind of count it because it has important information. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. 4.5 months since we made videos. It tells you where we were, what happened, all the changes about the channel, new direction, new upload schedule, all that stuff. You can find that out in that update video, but does count, kinda, not important. What's important is my first content video. We're focusing on World of Warcraft content now. First video back into that, and I figure, hey, the new raid in WoW is coming out next month. What better way to come back with World of Warcraft content than to talk about my thoughts on the current raid of Uldir. Now, in case the title of the video wasn't obvious already, or you didn't read the title, or you're retarded, I'm not a fan. So this video is going to be talking about how Uldir is not so great. This is why Uldir sucks. Why? I said wake up, motherfucker. Now, before I dive into the massive pile of shit that is this raid, I first need to establish that it's not the worst raid of all time. In fact, it wouldn't even make the top 5 worst raids of all time. It wouldn't be a lot better than that, but that's not the point. Uldir does have some redeeming qualities, and I feel like I owe it to you guys to go over them briefly before I destroy this raid so hard that it would make even K-Bash blush. Now, the first thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that the weapon designs are actually pretty cool for this place. It's got some cool weapon designs that I like so much that my rogue and my priest, the main 2 characters that I'm playing right now, don't have their weapons transmogged. The fact is they're so good that even though I have hundreds of different transmogs over the course of playing this game for 12 plus years, I feel the need to use these weapons because they look cool. And they fit in with the transmogs that I've set for my characters in the rest of their gear. Not only are the weapon designs cool, but also the color schemes of purple for Raid Finder, gold for normal, red for mythic, and blue for heroic because I'm fucking terrible at doing them in order from least to most difficult. Not the point. Weapon designs are good. Good job, Blizzard, on that. The other thing that it does well is the fact that mechanically, the bosses in Uldir are actually designed brilliantly. Well, maybe not brilliantly, but pretty damn fucking well. The fights feel original, they feel fresh, they're fun, and they don't have a lot of gimmicky or annoying raid mechanics. The bosses feel like they're tough and like the boss itself is tough, and it feels rewarding when you defeat the boss. So, if mechanically it's such a good raid, and honestly I feel like mechanics is one of the most important parts to a raid, why do I still think that it sucks? Well, let's start with how long it is. It's a short fucking raid. It only has 8 bosses, which, by the way, is the shortest introductory raid tier to any expansion ever in the history of fucking World of Warcraft. The shortest ever. It's goddamn 2018. You should be designing bigger and better raids now, not the shortest initial raid tier ever. Now, I know there are some raids that are shorter and some raid tiers that are just as short. Good example is Firelands, but Firelands may have been short, but it was after a longer initial raid tier. And it was only that short because content was cut. As far as I'm aware, no content was cut. This is the full design. This is what they planned all along, and it's 8 bosses. And while Firelands also had 8 bosses, it was also a really good fucking raid, and therefore that makes up for it. Uldir does not. Why is 8 bosses so bad? You're gonna get bored of the shit soon, and unless the rest of the fucking raid is immaculate, it's just gonna drive you nuts, and you're gonna be sick and tired of it, and you're not gonna want to do it anymore. So, way to go, Blizzard. Short fucking raid. You're off to a fantastic start. Next, let's talk about the design. Now, some raids, when you step into them, you look at it, and from the moment you step in and are walking around, you're like, wow, This is amazing. This blows my fucking mind. Good examples, Firelands. You step in it, you're amazed. You feel the atmosphere. It looks so cool. Icecrown Citadel. You're walking through the whole thing. It's amazing. You have your mind blown. And then other raids, not so much. And this is one of those. It's not the worst design ever, but it's just kind of bland, with the majority of the design being based around this kind of octagon thing that you just walk around between the bosses. And okay. Nothing about this raid in particular seems like it's exceptionally cool or anything like that. And yeah, it's kind of meh, kind of boring. Nothing stands out. The coolest part, honestly, of the whole raid is the fucking elevator that you fight the first boss on. And the fact that a hole opens up in the middle of the room after you defeat Zul, where you would fall down after. But then there's the design of the bosses themselves. Now, with a lot of raids, with good raids, you go in there, and the bosses not only look like they belong together, but like they belong in the actual raid that they're in. Uldir looks like they went to fucking Craigslist and just picked the first 8 names on the goddamn list and chucked them in the raid. I mean, you look at Firelands, there's a lot of fiery bosses that fit the theme, that seem to fit with the design of the fucking place. You go into Uldir, you're like, what the fuck is this shit? First boss, Talik, is a goddamn robot that shoots out little blood shit on the ground. Okay, alright. And honestly, Talik, by the way, the only actual coolie's not a fucking word. The only cool design boss. The rest of it is kind of lame designs, which I'll get into in a bit here. But Talik, giant robot, shoots out blood. Then you get to Mother, which is like a Titan Keeper thing. I don't fucking know. I'm not sure. I don't pay attention to lore. I don't know what she is. And then you fight her, and you move rooms, and she's like mad at you, and then she's your friend at the end of it. Then there's Fetid, which is a 3-headed monstrosity that just looks like a fucking bad experiment gone wrong. And by the way, Fetid's design is lame and lazy because it looks basically like a slightly reskinned 3-headed Hydra. So, okay, that's cool, whatever. Then you go to Vectis, which is just a blood elemental. Okay, you got a blood elemental, that's your boss. Alright, whatever. Turn into fucking liquid, no big deal. Then you get the next boss after that, Zekvos, which is just a giant bug. We've seen a ton of them, not an original design. And is it really a bug, or is it like does it teleport in? Is it a hologram? I don't fucking know. What do any of these bosses have to do with each other? Then Zul. Zul basically looks like the trolls and krogs that are outside the raid just snuck in and decided to call themselves a goddamn boss. Then after that, Mithrax looks like the second last boss of Ulduar. And then Gahoon is a giant old god tentacle thing, which coincidentally also like the last boss of Ulduar, because it's an old god. Like, it's the whole situation of one of these things is not like the other, except all of these things are not like the other. None of them fucking belong. What the actual fuck? It's stupid. Doesn't make sense. I don't like it. And another thing, the theme of Ulduar. Like, now I know some of you are going to call me an idiot right now and be like, oh, this was fucking explained. You're just an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, what is Uldir? I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to lore. Like, what is it? Why are we here? Now, I know it's probably explained in the game somewhere, but here's the thing. I may be an idiot that doesn't give a crap about lore and doesn't pay attention to more shit than I don't have to. But guess what? I've always been that idiot. So if I'm complaining about it now, then I was complaining about it a while ago. But there's some raids where you go into and you're just like, yeah, okay, I get what this is. I know what it's supposed to be. This raid is designed to be like this. Like Firelands. You go into Firelands. Oh, hey, this is just Ragnaros' fucking lair. He's a big fiery asshole. We gotta stop this shit. I know exactly what this is. He's causing up problems. Nax Ramus. It's fucking Kel'Thuzad's giant floaty death undead castle thing. Icecrown Citadel. Fucking, yeah, we need to stop that. That's just the Lich King's evil lair. Yeah, right away. Like, good raids, you know why you're there. Even a shitty raid, like Mogushan Vaults from Miss Pandaria. You knew why you were there. The concept was shit. It was basically, hey, this is a mystical vault on an island that we haven't been to before. I wonder what's inside the vault. Okay, you go in the vault. Hey, there's these Mogus in Mogushan vaults that you gotta kill. There's like one weird troll boss. And then, ooh, weird spectral dragon that is, you know, one of the mysteries of the vault. Like, it made fucking sense. It made more sense than Uldir, or at least an obvious thing. Uldir just is a fucking ragtag group of people chucked together with a random old god. I don't know what the fuck this place is, why they're there, why we're there, but whatever. Okay. Guess it fucking exists. Good job, Blizzard. Then, that's just the design. Worse than that is the goddamn pacing. The pacing of this raid is complete shit. Starting with the trash. Now, trash is always a divisive topic, and not everyone's going to agree. But if you want proof, Trial of Crusader proves that you need trash. Trash is important to a raid because it splits up the pacing and makes a good comparison of how strong and big and bad the bosses are. You need trash between the bosses to kind of give you a break from the boss fight aspect and get you pumped up and ready for the next boss. Now, the sad thing is that Uldir actually does a really good job and makes a prime example of what good trash should be, but only for 3 of the bosses. Before Fetid, Vectis, and Zekvaz, there's trash that's unique to each of these boss rooms, a moderate amount of trash to get to those bosses, and the trash in front of each of those boss rooms is something that hints at the theme of the boss itself. For Fetid, you have trash that turns into the monsters that are the 3 different heads of Fetid. Vectis, you have trash that liquefies, that just like the fucking boss does. Zekvaz, you have trash that will mind control, just like Zekvaz does. And that's cool. And it works. Except they just fucking forgot how to do it for the rest of the fucking raid. Like, before Talik, your only trash pull is kill 2 weird fucking tentacle things. And it's really easy, takes no time, and you're fighting the boss. Like, you shouldn't be able to see the boss from the moment you fucking step into the instance. That's dumb. That's bad raid design. Then between, that was Talik, yeah. Then between Talik and Mother, you have 1 trash pull, which, by the way, was completely fucking skippable up until 8.1. You could skip this trash. You didn't even have to do it. And it was 1 basically gauntlet trash pull that was activated by the press of a button that doesn't have any strategy to it, and I don't know, I might just be a fucking idiot and don't understand it, but if you're not, like, at the end of it, half of our raid will fucking die. Like, and it's just like, oh, yeah, we died. And it takes like a couple minutes. It's not hard. And then, as I mentioned, between Fetid, like, Vectis, and, you know, Zekvaz, that trash is good. Then you get to Zul. Now, Zul is like, imagine you were creating a raid, and you had a certain amount of trash points that you could spend, and then you accidentally spent the amount of trash you were going to put on the last 3 bosses and just dumped it right in front of Zul. Zul trash is how not to make trash. You go from having almost no trash on the first 2 bosses to unbelievably large amounts of trash. Like, stupidly large amounts of trash on the whole platform. And you can see all the trash, and it's not even like it's good trash, it's boring. There's a group of little guys, and then a guy that'll buff them, and you just have to keep them separate, and you do the same trash pull over and over and over and over and over again until you drive yourself insane. And it's really shitty, because if you get to Zul and you have like half an hour left in your raid time, just might as well fucking call your raid early, because you might clear the trash in time to get 1 pull, which is fucking dumb. Trash should not take that long, especially if it's not difficult. And then after that, there's no trash. No trash between Zul and Mithrax. No trash between Mithrax and Gahur. And the fact is like, you don't even travel to Mithrax. You literally just fall through the platform you were already on and end up at Mithrax. Like, that's dumb. That's really, really, really fucking dumb. And then there's the difficulty spike that messes up the pacing. Metallic, the first boss, is way too fucking easy. Now, I know the first boss should be easier than the rest of the dungeon. Metallic is so easy that we killed Mythic Talic before we killed Heroic Zul. And it only took us 4 attempts to get Mythic Talic down. Now, I know other groups it took a little longer, but Mythic Talic is so unbelievably easy, and it shouldn't be. But then you get to Mother. Mother's an adequate amount of difficulty. That's fine. Then there's Fetid, that's a glorified loot pinata on every difficulty except Mythic, at which point he turns into a fucking super demon of death that, God, don't even fucking deal with that. That's just hard. But his only issue is just gear. If you have enough gear, enough DPS, he's fine. Like, he has a mechanic, but on the first 3 difficulties, you ignore it, you just DPS him. It's fucking stupid. Way too fucking stupid. Then the difficulty progression up to Vectis, that makes sense. Vectis is kind of your gear check boss to see, do you have enough gear to not only DPS, but also heal? You can get past that boss, great. Then there's Zekvoz. Zekvoz is like your mechanics check. Can you handle doing all these different mechanics at the same time? Great. Okay. Then you get to Zul, and the difficulty turns up to fucking 11. Like, Zul, the difficulty jump to Zul is unfucking real. Like, it's ridiculous. Like I said, we killed Mythic Talic before we killed Zul. And Zul is one of those fights that the easiest way to do it is to have enough gear to be able to just DPS him down before you get another set of ads. It's a strategy that actually relied on you cheesing with a rogue spec of subtlety to just do insane single target damage, and it's just dumb. Now, don't get me wrong, the rest of the fight for an ad fight is actually pretty cool, but just fucking drives me nuts. The difficulty spike is way too big. You can do first 5 bosses in your sleep compared to trying to do Zul. Then, Mithrax and Gahun, it's a debate between which of those is the more difficult boss. I'd say Mithrax is more difficult on normal, Gahun is more difficult on heroic. Like, Mithrax, it's before it got changed to where the mind controls couldn't, affect the melee. If you brought too many melee, you were fucked. If you brought too many melee, you were fucked, because multiple melee would get mind controlled, and that would just fucking cause you to get fucked. It sucked. It was really, really fucking dumb. But honestly, Mithrax is one of the better fights in the raid. Then you get to Gahun. And Gahun, on normal, first of all, Gahun has one of the most unique elements of orb running, and that is really cool. But Gahun, as a fight on normal, it's rough, but it's manageable. Then you get to Heroic. I'm not even going to talk about Mythic because I have no fucking clue about that. But then you get to Heroic, and Heroic Gahun is just a clusterfuck of a bunch of different abilities, and abilities that if one person fucks up, it can really, really screw you. First of all, you're going to get this debuff of cotton balls. And you have to run it out, and then it'll drop a little pool on the ground and shoot out 5 cotton balls in a direction. Now, on normal, if you get hit by these cotton balls, you just take damage. On heroic, if you get hit by these cotton balls, you take damage, and then you also get the debuff. So, if people aren't paying attention, you get the debuff, now you have to run out, and then that'll go off, and then I'll set a debuff on someone else, and it just gets out of control. Which makes it hard. You have to spread out for that, and you have to just... that's rough, but you know what? Not the worst thing ever. But then there's the Blood Feast, where everyone has to run in to get their debuffs taken off, except you can have that overlap with the fucking cotton balls thing. And you can have it pop on the person that gets the Blood Feast so that you can't run into that Blood Feast, because then you're going to get everyone with cotton balls who's going to be a fucking white. Then there's the final phase, where it puts the weird, blood explodey pie things on the ground. But, so you have to be kind of grouped up together to avoid the blood exploding pie things, and then turn around and dodge this thing that's going to make you disoriented, because it'll blind you, while also eventually spreading out so you don't get hit by the wave to get multiple stacks of the dot. because the stack of the dot gets stacked one at a time on normal. In heroic, if you're standing within 5 yards of another player, you'll get multiple stacks, and it'll bounce you into other players and give multiple stacks, and then it's fucking stupid. But the worst thing about this fight is the core main mechanic of the orb running. Orb running is an interesting concept that when it comes down to execution is just, it's not fun. If you messed up one orb run, it was a wipe. Which means if one player misclicks once, you could be multiple minutes in the fight, it's an instant wipe. And I hate fucking mechanics that if one person fucks up slightly, it's an instant wipe. And this one in particular is just, it's annoying, it's rough. Especially because the key to doing it well and having the ultimate chance for success on this boss is doing orbs in a way where someone will solo run, which means that the margin for error is very, very small. And you have these people trying to get this done with solo running, and it's fucking annoying. But you can at least kill it, and at least this fight feels original. But here's one of the biggest issues I have with this raid. And it comes down to the fact that it's one of those raids where you get punished for having fewer people. If you have a bigger raid, you have a better chance of beating this raid. Because there are bosses that if you have fewer people, you will get fucked. For starters, let's go through them one by one. Now, the first few bosses, not a big deal. But then you get to Vectis. Now, Vectis throws out 3 debuffs. And when the debuff gets put on someone, it gives you another debuff that I forget exactly what it does. It either makes you take more damage or reduces your health or some shit like that. I think it makes you take more damage. And then the debuff will switch to another person, and you keep getting these stacking debuffs the more you get that going on you. So the fewer players you have, the more often you'll have the debuff that transfers from person to person. Meaning your stacking debuff will get higher, faster, making the fight harder. The more people you have, the easier the fight becomes. Also, if you have more people, it's a lot easier to just add an extra healer. Like, let's say you have 20 people. And you have 20 people, you have 2 tanks, 4 healers, let's say, and 14 DPS. The difference between 14 DPS and 13 DPS isn't that big of a deal, but the difference between 4 healers and 5 healers can help out a lot, help you cheese that fight a little bit. If you're running 10 people, let's say, well, guess what? You have 2 tanks, 2 healers, 6 DPS. Going down to 5 DPS hurts your DPS a lot to get that extra healer. So now you're having debuffs making people take damage more, so you're going to need that extra healer, but you're not going to have enough DPS to kill the ad fast enough to make it so that your healers don't get overwhelmed, and you fucking wipe. Now, Zekvos, not as bad, punishing for multiple people, but, you know, there's the issue of the fact that if you have more people, when someone gets mind controlled, there's more people to kill it, and more people alive when the mind control dies on heroic. But that's not that big of a deal. Zul, on the other hand, is a fight that frustrates me by the fact that on heroic, you need 2 priests. You need to have 2 priests for mass dispel. Because if you don't, you're fucked. And good luck getting 2 priests on 10 man, as well as 2 people that can ranged CC the blood hexers. Good luck having that, because you're probably only running 2 healers, and you're probably not running dual priests, because that's weird. Maybe 3 healers, so guess what? You better have a shadow priest, or just recruit one for that one boss. And then the classes that can do the range CC are hunters and mages. Now, yeah, you can also have, like, I think a shaman can hex as well, but often shamans are melee as well. And your demon hunters could do it, but the problem is that the fewer people you have, the harder it is to get the classes you need for this fight. And that can be frustrating. Also, having fewer people on Mithrax can be annoying, because the fewer ranged DPS you have, the less range DPS will be available when one of them gets hit with the mind control orb. Also, the more likely your healers will get hit with the mind control orb, meaning that if a healer gets taken out when there's only 2 or 3 healers, it makes the job of the rest of the healers really hard. Whereas if a healer gets taken out, if there's 5 healers, there's still 4 other healers to pick up the slack. And then fucking goddamn Gahoon is the absolute worst when it comes to the number disparity. Orb running. If you are in a 10-man, then and you're doing it on heroic. Let's say you're trying to do heroic with 10-man, you probably can't, because you need 6 different orb run groups. Now, with 10 people, you're like, okay, if I can have 6 people solo run, which the only classes that can solo run are warriors and demon hunters, and that's only if they have warlock portals. That means you need to have like a combination of 6 warriors and demon hunters, as well as 2 warlocks for the portals. So yeah, not really possible unless you have both tanks go in the first round and they're both demon hunters, and then the rest of them are your warriors and demon hunters going as DPS, and then your other DPS are warlocks, and then you have 2 healers. Yeah, I'm probably not gonna get it that way. So you're fucked. But if you don't solo run, because you don't have warlocks, you don't have the right classes, then you lose DPS on the boss, and you're not going to have enough DPS to kill him in the end. And it's just terrible design. You have bosses that, reward you for having more people, bosses that reward you for having fewer people, certain class requirements for certain bosses that make it a lot easier. A boss fight that has a certain spec of rogue just cheese the fight with single target DPS. Like, what is going on, Blizzard? I don't understand how this raid came to be and is your whole opener to the expansion. Because here's the thing, is that this is the only raid. Yeah, even in Warlords of Draenor, the closest thing you can make an argument to this, they had Highmaul on its own for a while. But Highmaul wasn't the entire raid tier, and everyone knew it wasn't the entire raid tier. It had 5 bosses, yeah, and it had no raid tier gear. So everyone knew Blackrock Foundry was coming. It may have taken a little longer, but they knew it was coming. There was nothing else for Uldir. Uldir was it. Uldir was the entire fucking thing, and Blizzard fucked it up. And it is a shitty raid, and probably one of the biggest reasons why Battle for Azeroth is not doing as well as they would like it to. And they are going to have to do a really good job of making sure the next raid tier doesn't suck dick. And if you agree with me, great. If you don't, fuck you, you're wrong. I don't give a shit. Anyways, thanks for watching my video all the way through. This turned into kind of just a rant of me just fucking hating this place. If you have ideas for more WoW content you want me to see, or want me to make, I can't even fucking talk now, leave a comment in the section below. Be sure to like and subscribe, because I'm going to be putting out lots of World of Warcraft content every 2 weeks. I've been Ian from Sleep Deprivation, and I am not sure what my fucking outro is anymore. That's right, because I fucking suck. You know what? Fuck the outro. Fuck everything. I'm out. Peace. Fuck this shit.